Hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of Auto Connect. And normally on our juxtaposition episodes, we get to have two cars in the same class but from different manufacturers. But today's episode is a special one. Why? We have two crossover SUVs from the same manufacturer but from different generations. We want to see what has changed, how has the vehicle evolved, and also get to tell the amazing story of the Subaru Forester. And all this is because Auto Connect is the only car channel that will guarantee you an alluring motor vehicle experience. I'll be your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK. Remember, we can connect on social media. My handles are Eric Wakabi on Facebook X, TikTok, and Instagram as well. And now let's get up close and candid with these two crossover SUVs, the Subaru Forester SK and the Subaru Forester SJ. I would like to give a big thanks to Carplicity for giving us these two vehicles. Remember, you can visit or call Carplicity for you to take a look at these vehicles and other vehicles that they have. And if you tell them you've been sent by Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK from Auto Connect, they'll give you some crazy discounts. Carplicity is along Kiambu Road, and the contacts to David Carplicity and Kevin Carplicity are in the description. Where does the story of the Subaru Forester begin? The story begins in 1997 when Subaru brought forth the first generation Subaru Forester, and the model code designated for that vehicle was the SF. Now, the SF was a family wagon based on the Subaru Impreza, and it could go off-road as well as go fast. However, the Forester that aroused the love affair with the Subaru Forester globally and in Kenya was the Subaru Forester SG. It was the second generation Forester, and it was loved because it brought out another aspect of the Forester. It was a bit bigger, it had better off-road capabilities, featured Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system, and guess what? There was a WRX STI version of it, meaning you would get one to have your family commutes, and those ones were available in non-turbo configurations. If you wanted to go fast but not extremely fast but still go off-road, you would get one with the EJ20 turbocharged engine. However, if you wanted to go really fast and have fun as well as go off-road and take your family with you, you would get the SG9, the holy grail of the Subaru Forester. However, around 2009, things started changing because the Subaru Forester evolved from being that family wagon to being something totally different. Irrespective of all the love that was shown to the Subaru Forester SG, Subaru decided to give it a redesign, and because of the rising need for crossover SUVs in the globe, they brought forth the SH, and this SH was not liked by many Subaru purists, especially Subaru Forester purists. With the SH, Subaru started introducing technology that would match the upcoming crossover SUV segment, and that did not go well with Subaru purists. Why? Because the SH lost the frameless doors, and that was a key design feature in Subaru. So if you still have a Subaru Forester SG, please keep it. Now, the SH was not in production for a very long time, because in 2014 we saw the rise of the Subaru Forester SJG, and that is the vehicle that is behind me. And this was in production all the way to around 2016, 2017, thereabout. And now, currently, in 2018, we saw like the biggest evolution of the Subaru Forester, and that is the 2018 Subaru Forester SK. Now, why do I say that this was the biggest part of the evolution in the Subaru Forester lineage? It was because for the first time in the Subaru Forester family, we had a hybrid. Yes, So if you're buying the SK, you would get it in a hybrid configuration or a non-hybrid configuration. And this is what makes this vehicle quite special. Now, when we go to the other generation that we'll talk about, maybe later once we start having them in the Kenyan market, we'll talk about the SL. But today, let's be specific to the Subaru Forester SK and why it's unique in the Subaru Forester family. Now, I want to compare and contrast between these two vehicles. What has changed from the Subaru Forester SJ into the SK? Well, the SK has gained some weight. It's bigger and it's more spacious, plus it's even safer. Well, the reason why it's bigger and safer and has a more comfortable ride is because of Subaru's new global platform, and that is the platform the Subaru Forester SK is built on. Also, it has been designed using a design language that is called Subaru Solid Dynamic X design language, and that is why it is quite big, and I'm going to talk about it when we get to the interior, because they did a few things to try and improve on space, because with the Subaru Forester SK it's all about space. So the other unique thing about this vehicle, remember, with the SJ we would get a diesel option. Yes, there were not many in Kenya, but there was a diesel option for the Subaru Forester SJG. However, for the SK, it doesn't come in diesel. And that is something, a very good point to note. So we do not have a diesel option of the Subaru Forester SK. Now let's talk about the engine as I tell you what has improved and also the engine options you'll get if you buy the 2018 Subaru Forester SK. So under the hood of the SK is quite interesting because, okay, 2018, but we still get the Chuma ya Doshi. Yeah, we do not have the hydraulic dampers. So if you look at the engine of this Forester, the first thing you notice is the e-boxer badge, and the e-boxer badge is also on the side of this Subaru Forester SK. Now, if you're buying the Forester SK, if you're a person who values driving thrill, you will get it with an 1800cc turbocharged engine. Yes, the CB18. So that is how far downsizing has gone. If again, if you want one that is at least well balanced, you can get it with the FB20 non-turbo and also with the FB25 non-turbo. However, the FB25 on the Subaru Forester SK is direct injection. Yeah, so fuel is injected directly, and that is a significant difference between the FB25 that you will get on this SK and the FB25 that you would get on the other SJG, because the SJG came with the FA20 that was turbocharged. That was a 2-liter, meaning it was bigger than the turbocharged variant that you will get on the SK. Also, you would get the lazy FB20 on the Forester, which is very common in the Kenyan market space, or you would get a diesel option on that, but the diesel options were not very common. So let me repeat for the sake of clarity. If you're buying the SK, you will get it in 3 configurations. You will get it in the FB20, that is naturally aspirated, non-hybrid. You will get it with the FB20D. Now the FB20D is this engine that we have right here, and the FB20D has been tweaked towards hybrid usage, or it has a hybrid provision. It's modified to accommodate a hybrid drivetrain, and that is the FB20D. You can also get it with the FB25. It's 2500cc, and it's directly and it features a direct injection. Now for the sport version, the Forester SK Sport, I told you it comes with an 1800cc turbocharged engine. So downsizing is real. So the only new engine that we are getting on the SK is the 1800cc turbocharged. So you will get the same engines that you would get on the SJG. Let's talk about this particular hybrid drivetrain, the one on the 2018 Subaru Forester SK. Well, if you're buying this vehicle, most sellers or salespeople will tell you that this is a full hybrid. No, the SK is not a full hybrid. The SK is a mild hybrid. What does a mild hybrid mean? It means that there is no provision for this vehicle to have or to propel on electric mode only. So the electric motor on this vehicle is simply for assistance. So it's hybrid assistance. It assists the internal combustion engine. And the arrangement between the battery pack, electric motor, and the internal combustion engine is a parallel one, meaning it's a mild parallel hybrid. Sawa sawa. But there is the question, and I know most guys are going to ask, when you're driving the Subaru Forester SK, you get that EV ready sign on the dashboard. And you see in most other vehicles like Toyotas and Hondas, if you get that EV ready sign, it tells you that the vehicle can be propelled on electric mode only. So what does it mean in the Subaru Forester SK, irrespective of the fact that it's a mild hybrid? Well, mild hybrids have a provision to shut down the internal combustion engine when the vehicle is coasting or when the vehicle is braking. Tuko pamoja. So yes, it does have that function of shutting off the engine or shutting down the engine when the vehicle is moving, but this is only when the vehicle is either braking or when the vehicle is coasting. Let's talk about the transmission that the Subaru Forester SK is running on. Subaru introduced the Lineatronic CVT in the Subaru Forester family with the Subaru Forester SJG, and that transmission has been carried forward to the Subaru Forester SK. However, on the hybrid version, which is this one that we have, you still get the Lineatronic CVT, but it is assisted by that electric motor. Tuko pamoja hadi hapo. What are the power figures when it comes to the hybrid Subaru Forester SK? You're getting around 148 horsepower and around 217 Newton meters of torque. Well, they are not the most impressive numbers, but for a crossover SUV for running errands, well, it is sufficient. So you will still keep up the pace, but save a little bit of fuel because of that assistance. And most people fear Subarus for fuel consumption. Well, the fuel consumption on the Subaru Forester SK hybrid might not be as good as that of a full hybrid, but yes, the assistance goes a long way towards efficiency, and that is why with this you can be able to achieve over 14 kilometers to the liter on average. There is something that we cannot leave out whenever we are talking about the Subaru family, and that is Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system. And Subaru's all-wheel drive systems are known to be a force to reckon with. In fact, in my opinion, after Audi Quattro, the second best all-wheel drive system has to be Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system. And with the Forester is made to give you that adventure, and that is why it comes standard with the Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system. There are variants of Subaru's all-wheel drive system that we would like to talk about, but for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of the Subaru Forester SK, let's talk about the Subaru Forester ATD, the active torque distribution, and that is the all-wheel drive system that we have on the Subaru Forester SK. So what does the Subaru Forester ATD do? Now, the ATD maintains a 60-40 torque distribution. You have 60% torque at the front because it's based on, it's more or less a front wheel drive, and 40% at the rear. However, we have computers and sensors that tweak the all-wheel drive system on the fly. Yeah, so this is Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, but the specific variant of the symmetrical all-wheel drive is Subaru's ATD AWD, the active torque distribution all-wheel drive. The Subaru Forester SK sits on 18-inch wheels, and it comes with alloys as standard. McPherson struts at the front and independent rear suspension. The door openings on the SK are quite wider, giving you ample space as you board the vehicle, and that is not only with the front but even at the rear. And another thing to note about the rear of the Subaru Forester SK is that we have a steeper B pillar, and this is courtesy of Subaru's dynamic X solid design language, courtesy of Subaru's new global platform that the Subaru Forester SK is based on. So it's more spacious compared to the SJG. It's bulkier compared to the SJG. It has a smoother ride because the new platform by Subaru called the Subaru global platform has been able to almost eradicate NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness, and also it has given this vehicle better handling, more agility, and also comfort. The other interesting bit about this vehicle is that the front seats have been tweaked or have been made to make them more comfortable for longer trips, so you can drive for very long trips in the Subaru Forester SK. I would like us to take a look at the interior of this car. The Subaru Forester SK is far much more spacious compared to the older SJG, and again, this is courtesy of Subaru's dynamic X solid design language. So it has more space in the interior. You have a bigger sunroof on it, and you have a very interesting design feature. So most crossover SUVs in the market today are using electric handbrakes. However, on the Subaru Forester SK, they had a very, very, very good reason to get rid of the manual handbrake. Guess what it was? So Subaru engineers sat down when they were designing the SK, and they wanted to give as much room as possible when it came to the interior. And part of the things that they had to get rid of to have a better or bigger space or utilize space better was the manual handbrake, and they replaced that with an electronic handbrake, but you still got the vehicle hold or the hold feature on their vehicle, so that the hold feature is still available on the SJG. So one of the most significant changes between the SK and the SJ was the electronic handbrake, but the hold feature is still there. So guys, this is how efficient Subaru auto hold is. So I've engaged auto hold, then you get the AVH sign on the cluster, and then show them how steep So that is how the auto hold function works. Look, hata sijakanyaga brake. So that is how efficient it is. But if you have to disconnect it, so it's off now. You see how the vehicle is inarudi. However, there are other advancements that we have, like you have a front view camera. So this is to eradicate blind spots because the SK is quite bulky, so you can see what's at the front and you can see the side view. This is when you're going off-road or when you're parking in tight spots. The other thing is this dial over here that is more of a multi-terrain response. So if you're driving and actually this is an advancement of Subaru's X mode. So the X mode of the SK, you get 3 driving modes. You have normal driving mode, then you have dirt and snow, and you have dirt, snow, and mud. Yeah, so if you're driving in a muddy section, you just put it to mud, and if you're driving on snow, but in Kenya you would not be driving in snow unless you live in Kemende, Kinungi, Limuru, name them, people who experience snow. Steering controls are some of the most common features in modern crossover SUVs and even most passenger cars. But on the Subaru Forester SK, there are 2 new buttons that you will get. One is the Eco C button. So what is Eco C? So Eco C can be defined as Eco Cruise Control. Cruise control is known not to be the most efficient mode of driving, especially when you're cruising. But with Subaru, they integrated the Eco C function with eyesight to assist you drive economically, irrespective of the fact that you're using cruise control. So it's more of a fuel-saving cruise control function in the Subaru Forester. Now, the other thing you'll notice that there is a different icon for the start and stop button on the Subaru Forester. So most people are asking, what does this button mean? So this button is more or less a new icon for the start and stop function. So those are the two main buttons that most buyers of the Subaru Forester might not be conversant with. So Eco C, that is Eco Cruise Control, and you have the new icon for the start and stop function. However, the features that have been carried forward into the SK include Subaru's eyesight. Also, you have adaptive cruise control, and also you get Subaru responsive headlights, meaning when you turn, the beams are aimed towards where you're turning. The other safety feature that has been added onto the Subaru Forester SK is whenever somebody is tailgating you dangerously, or somebody is dangerously close while overtaking, you get these flashing lights on the side mirrors to warn you of somebody tailgating you or overtaking you. And this is technology that has been used in Volvo, it has been used in Mazda, and so many other SUVs, and it's good to finally see it in the Subaru Forester SK. One of the greatest improvements between the SJ and the SK is space. When it comes to the SK, you're spoiled for space because it's much bigger, and you even get better legroom on the second row of seats, and also better boot space. You have more boot space, better legroom, and even the rear, the second row of seats actually sits higher, and you get AC for it, as well as get heated seats even for the rear guys. So you can heat the front seats and the rear seats as well. Another convenience feature is that you get what is called a powered tailgate. You can open the tailgate from this compartment over here, from the driver's side, or you can open it from the back. You can also control the height using the memory function of the powered tailgate. Now, it is quite unfortunate that you have memory height for the tailgate, but we don't have memory seats on the Subaru Forester SK. Interesting. Now let's get to drive the Subaru Forester SK and feel how it handles on the road and also a little bit off the road. How does it feel like driving the Subaru Forester SK? Well, coming from an SJG, you will definitely feel the difference. The ride on this one is far much more smoother, reduced road noise, the handling is better. In fact, is way better thanks to Subaru's new global platform. It has given this car this vehicle is more agile, it has better handling, and even the off-road capabilities are quite commendable. Something else that I must comment about is the steering. The steering response is trademark Subaru. You get razor sharp handling on this Forester. You also get a lot of space, so it does feel very good. You feel very independent and you don't feel cramped up. Let's talk about acceleration. When you're driving the hybrid SK, you get to feel the transition between the vehicle coasting and when the internal combustion engine kicks in. Also, the acceleration is quite decent, and this is courtesy of the electric motor that assists the engine when you put that pedal to the metal. Overall driving experience, well, it's not as good as the SG, the legendary Subaru Forester SG5 or SG9. In fact, it's nowhere near that, but it does sit higher, and it's an okay car for somebody who is not an enthusiast. But for an enthusiast, it might not be the most impressive vehicle to drive. But if you're a family man, then you might enjoy driving this car from point A to point B. And once you let go of the accelerator pedal and the vehicle starts coasting, the internal combustion engine shuts down and you get that moment of silence. And once you tap on the accelerator, the engine is put back on and you get that amazing rumble that this one has. But the reason why this one has that rumble is because it has an aftermarket exhaust. But who puts an aftermarket exhaust in a hybrid vehicle? Anyway, it's a mild hybrid, so it might make some sense. The 2018 Subaru Forester SK is bigger in terms of space and also in terms of structure. The Subaru Forester SK also feels better to drive. It's more economical, it's more engaging, and it's even more responsive. The other thing that Subaru's new design language has really got rid of is the vibrations, especially if you've driven the Subaru Forester SJG, you might know what I'm talking about. So the SK is more refined. In fact, we can say it's a positive evolution from the SJ into the SK. And the other thing I have to talk about is value for money. Well, if you're buying the hybrid Subaru Forester SK, it's going to set you back around 3.9 million Kenya shillings. However, if you're buying the non-hybrid variants of the Subaru Forester SK, they'll set you back like 200,000 Kenya shillings lower. So if you're shopping for a Subaru Forester today, if you choose to buy the SK, it will set you back 1 million Kenya shillings more than buying an SJG. But I feel the cost difference is justified by the year of manufacture and also the new generation of this vehicle. And especially the most expensive, the funny thing about the Subaru Forester SK is that the most expensive is the hybrid variant. And you know, cost of fuel has actually gone higher. But if you're buying the non-hybrids, they'll set you back around 3.8, 3.7 million Kenya shillings, depending on trim and also the engine it comes with. The FB25s might be a bit more pricey compared to the lazy FB20, because the FB20, what I know, the FB24, it's a reliable motor, but it's quite lazy. So yes, if you're shopping for the new generation Subaru Forester SK, jipange na between 3.7 million Kenya shillings all the way to 3.9 million Kenya shillings, depending on the trim of this vehicle that you're going to get. I hope this has been an insightful review. I've been your host, Eric Wakabi, Eric with a CK, and the purpose of today's review, the purpose of that vehicle has just been for comparison. It's basically a prop, because we need to show you the significant differences between the SJ and the SK. We value your feedback. Tell us, what do you think about this review? Talk to us on the comments and also on our social media handles, Eric Wakabi on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok as well.